Here's a psychology fact you're not ready for. People who never ask for help are often the ones drowning the deepest. From the outside, they look strong, calm, capable, independent. They handle their own problems, stay quiet under pressure, and rarely let anyone see them fall apart. Most people admire them. Some even envy them. They seem like the kind of people who can survive anything. But that image is misleading, because in psychology, refusing help is not always strength. Sometimes it is a survival response. Sometimes it is what happens when a person has learned that needing others is dangerous. And once that lesson gets wired into the mind, they stop reaching out not because they're okay, but because they no longer believe support is safe. Psychologists connect this pattern to hyper-independence. And once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. In the friend who says, "I'm fine no matter what happens." In the sibling who carries the entire family's stress but never talks about their own. In the partner who would rather suffer in silence than admit they're overwhelmed. Maybe even in yourself. Because your relationships, your habits, your emotional walls, and even the way you handle pain can all be shaped by one harsh internal rule. No one is coming, so I have to handle this alone. That belief changes everything. It makes a person look resilient, but underneath, it often makes them exhausted. People who never ask for help are usually praised for being low maintenance. They don't complain much. They don't burden others. They rarely make a scene. They solve their own problems quietly. They show up even when they're tired. They keep functioning even when they're breaking. And that is exactly why they are so misunderstood. Because the world mistakes silence for stability. But silence is not proof that someone is okay. Sometimes silence is. Just what pain sounds like when it learned a long time ago that nobody would listen anyway. But here's where it gets even worse. A lot of people who never ask for help don't actually feel proud of being independent. They feel trapped inside it. They wish they could lean on someone. They wish they could say, "I can't do this today." They wish they could admit they're lost, or scared, or tired, or not coping as well as they pretend. But the second they even think about opening up, their nervous system reacts like they're doing something unsafe. Why? Because for many people, asking for help once led to humiliation, disappointment, rejection, neglect, or betrayal. Maybe they were ignored when they were younger. Maybe they were mocked for being sensitive. Maybe they were told they were too much. Maybe they learned that vulnerability gets used against you. Maybe they asked for comfort and got criticism. Maybe they needed protection and had to become their own. So their brain adapted. And the adaptation sounded like this. Never need too much. Never depend too much. Never ask twice. That's how hyper-independence forms. Not from pure confidence, from emotional memory. Here's the painful part. When someone has been hurt enough by unreliable people, their brain stops seeing support as relief. It starts seeing support as risk. That changes the entire meaning of help. Help no longer feels comforting. It feels exposing. It feels like surrendering control. It feels like giving someone access to the parts of you that have already been mishandled before. So instead of asking, they carry stress. They carry sadness. They carry financial pressure, family pressure, emotional pain, anxiety, fear, and burnout, all behind the same calm face everyone calls strong. But psychology says something darker. Many people who refuse help are not being strong in a healthy sense. They are being over-adapted. Their mind has learned to survive by expecting nothing. And once that becomes your default, you stop seeing support as something natural. You start seeing it as a luxury that probably won't last. So you stop asking. Not because you don't need it, because needing it feels pointless. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. People who never ask for help often end up resenting the people around them. Not always openly, not always consciously, but deeply. Because when you carry everything alone for too long, something starts to harden inside you. You begin to feel invisible, unseen, unconsidered. You start thinking, why does nobody notice I'm struggling? Why do I always have to be the strong one? Why does everyone come to me but I have no one to go to? And the brutal answer is this. Sometimes people don't help because you train them not to. If you always say you've got it, people believe you. If you always minimize your pain, people stop looking for it. If you never reveal your limits, people assume you don't have any. This happens because your behavior teaches people how to treat you. Your brain thinks, if I stay competent, I stay safe. But the reality is, constant competence can isolate you. The more untouchable you seem, the less people realize you need tenderness too. And that is the tragedy of hyper-independent people. They often look the least needy, while secretly needing the most care. They are the ones answering everyone else's problems while their own pile up in silence. They are the ones staying calm in public and falling apart in private. They are the ones who say, "Don't worry about me," because a part of them already expects not to be chosen anyway. If that hit you, good. It means you needed it. Because here's the truth you've been avoiding. Never asking for help does not always mean you're healed. Sometimes it means your pain has become so familiar that suffering alone feels normal. That is not emotional strength. That is emotional conditioning. And the scary part is, society rewards it. People admire self-sufficiency. They praise endurance. They call you mature when you don't complain. They call you reliable when you ignore your own needs. They call you strong when you keep showing up half broken. So the very pattern that may be quietly damaging you gets mistaken for virtue. And that's how the cycle continues. You become the dependable one, the composed one, the one who has it together, the one no one checks on because everyone assumes you'll manage. And because you've built your identity around being the one who handles everything, asking for help starts to feel like losing yourself. That is why some people would rather collapse than confess they are overwhelmed. Because asking for help threatens the role they built to survive. And this next part explains why your life hasn't changed yet. You cannot heal hyper-independence by becoming even more self-sufficient. That only makes the wound smarter. Real healing begins when you stop treating support like weakness. The truth is, human beings were never designed to carry everything alone. Your nervous system does not become healthier by constant emotional isolation. It becomes harder, more guarded, more efficient at suppression, but not healthier. If you want to break this cycle, start with one simple but brutal step. Ask for help before you absolutely need it. Not after the breakdown, not after the panic, not after the burnout. Before. Because waiting until you are completely overwhelmed only reinforces the belief that help is a last resort instead of a normal human experience. Start small. Ask someone to listen without fixing. Ask someone to help with one task. Ask someone to sit with you in a hard moment. Ask for clarification instead of pretending you understand. Ask for emotional support instead of only practical solutions. Why does this matter? Because every time you ask safely, your brain gets new evidence. Evidence that not every person is a threat. Evidence that being honest does not always lead to shame. Evidence that support can exist without strings attached. That is how psychological rewiring begins. Not through one huge emotional breakthrough, through repeated moments that teach your nervous system a new rule. I can be human and still be safe. Here's the mental trick that actually works. Stop seeing help as proof that you are incapable. Start seeing it as proof that you are no longer abandoning yourself. That changes everything. Because the real danger was never neediness. The real danger was convincing yourself that your pain only deserves attention once it becomes unbearable. The strongest people are not the ones who can endure the most in silence. They are the ones who know when silence is turning into self-neglect. So if you are the person who never asks for help, ask yourself one uncomfortable question. Are you truly independent? Or have you just been disappointed so many times that isolation started to feel safer than hope? Because that answer matters. And it may explain why you're so tired all the time. Why you feel alone even around people. Why you struggle to trust kindness. Why receiving support feels awkward. Why you show compassion to everyone except yourself. And why part of you still believes that if you stop being the strong one, people will stop needing you and maybe stop loving you too. But that belief is a lie your pain taught you. You do not have to earn care by carrying everything alone. You do not have to become unbreakable to deserve support. And you do not have to wait until you collapse to let someone in. Because the moment you stop treating your own needs like a burden is the moment real strength begins. Did you enjoy the video? If so, a thumbs up goes a long way. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one. See you soon.